Hi there. Hi, Allison.
Hey, Kat.
How are you today?
Good.
Who do you have with you?
This is Andrew from Milstead and Company.
Hi, Andrew.
So we're here to interview him today about why he opened up his cafe, what's his cafe all about. So, sure. I mean, I guess you could start with your background again?
Yeah, so I've been doing the coffee thing for a few years now.
Okay.
It's been about 8 or 9. Started in Minneapolis with Dunn Brothers.
Okay.
And then Copland's Coffee in St. Paul. And then from there, I came out here actually for a summer for an internship for college. And ended up working at a Zoka account in Kirkland. Back to Minnesota, Copland's for a bit more, and then back here again at Urban Coffee Lounge for the last few years. And then now this. So I've been doing this kind of thing for other people for a very long time, and I've had different jobs within the industry, and decided that it was probably about time that I did it for myself.
Cool.
So December of last year was when I stepped down from Urban, and started the process, and a month ago we opened. So.
Wow, it's a really beautiful space too.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And why this location?
Fremont's one of my favorite neighborhoods in Seattle. This is one of those places that I ended up hanging out at a lot. So I was looking at Fremont, Green Lake, and Ballard, and kind of did a full loop of all of the open retail spaces, and came up empty-handed. So I had this like laundry list of criteria, each one with kind of a different numerical value, priority, and all the spaces I looked at scored really low. Just didn't quite do it. So the gentleman that I started the search with, who's a property owner here in Fremont, I had called him after I had kind of done the lap and came up empty-handed to see if he had anything new that had opened. And this was opening the very next day. So I came down and took a look and fell in love and signed a lease within a week. So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
I guess what kind of theme were you trying to do with your cafe?
Clean and simple. Big fan of clean and simple. I like rustic and refurbished and reused things with character and personality. Like our pastry case came from the vintage mart in Fremont, actually. It's this old kind of like lawyer style bookcase where the doors open in the front. It's cast iron. It's had a life of its own, and it just looks and feels really kind of cozy and comfortable to me. Tables are also reclaimed wood, as well as the bar. That's all reclaimed wood. The tabletops are. So there's a barn in this little town in Illinois called Sandwich, 115-year-old barn. This guy, about 2 hours north of the city's Fells Barns. So I got a bunch of this wood from him for pretty cheap, and built some tabletops. Similar story with the bar wood. That's reclaimed, refurbed old barn wood that was re-engineered, so it's tongue and grooved, so it was really easy to put together. I grew up on the East Coast. My parents did like antiques and stuff like that for a bit, and I have other family members that did antiques, so I just kind of grew up around like old hardwoods, and just really kind of rustic, kind of cozy stuff, so I wanted to incorporate that here. I figured I would be here a lot and wanted to feel at home, so that's the direction that we went.
Cool.
And I mean, I guess from all of your experiences working with the different cafes, and did you take any tips from them on how to open this up, or is there something different that you would have done?
Sure. I think experience as a barista in different cafes definitely had one of the biggest influence on at least the setup behind the bar. All of the things that you love and hate about the cafes that you work at, like, I wish there was a little more room here, a little more, wish there was an extra drawer here. Like years of those experiences kind of culminated in this bar, which is like 3 times as big as any of the bars that I've worked in before. Tons of space. It's made for between 3 and 6 people to work at a time, but there's enough room that nobody should ever hit themselves. There's all of the shelves and storage areas are designed so that everything that you would need to work your station is within arm reach.
Oh, that's nice.
So you're never having to run away to go grab something in the storeroom or running into someone else because you needed a towel and they have the towels on their side of the bar. So everything is kind of sectioned off, like super organized, because that's a big one for efficiency. And a busy bar or a high volume cafe, like if you can't be efficient, if you don't have the tools you need, then it's a loss. So definitely a lot of really great and not as great experiences in the cafes I've worked at over the years.
And how's the community welcomed you in here?
It's been so awesome. People have been way more positive and friendly and accepting of us than I had originally thought would happen. I mean, we're doing things a little differently.
Yeah.
Our menu's really limited.
Right.
We don't do decaf.
Okay.
We don't do anything bigger than 12 ounces.
Okay.
It's totally quality coffee focused. And that's, I mean, it can be a little scary, you know, like people tend to maybe like bigger drinks, some little more sugary things, but the coffees that we have are of the utmost quality and are intended to be enjoyed on their own. And maybe it's luck or fate, but we have seemed to have a customer base, a clientele that really appreciates great coffee, and it's gone over really well so far. So I'm like super pleased and excited that so many people that love good coffee are finding us. So.
And I guess if someone were in your same position and they were trying to open up a new cafe, I know you guys haven't been open for too long, but what are some tips that you would give them? What have you learned so far in these past few months?
Plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. As much planning as could possibly be done is huge. Like we lost 6 months of time dealing with the city of Seattle, just getting permits through, or plans through for permits. And that's one of those things that you can't really plan for, but knowing or just accepting the fact that things will take probably twice as long as you think and cost twice as much as you think. Like a lot of people say that and you're like, oh, that won't happen, or I'll plan ahead enough that that won't be the case. It doesn't matter. It just always ends up being that way. There's always unexpected costs, unexpected things. So the more planning you can do, the more that you can prepare for ahead of time, it will soften the blow a little bit when those things inevitably come along. So having knowing a variety of people and a variety of trades is great as well. I mean, you'll need an architect, you'll need probably a lawyer, you'll need someone who knows real estate or how to negotiate leases, you'll need contractors, or you yourself will have to be willing to learn a lot of skills for build-outs and things like that. I think plans and getting to know the people at the city and getting to know that process from start to finish is a huge win. Like I said, 6 months of our time was spent just back and forth trying to get plans approved for construction. It's a lot of hard work, but also a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So as long as you're prepared and willing to accept and acknowledge that it's a lot of hard work, you know, it's definitely doable.
Cool.
I love the clevers for just how easy they are to use a consistent cup.
And did you use them in previous cafes, or did you decide?
Never.
Did you? Okay.
A lot of what we do for brewing coffee here comes from the 6 months of me not working at a cafe when I quit urban and making coffee at home every day.
Just experimenting and.
I found first of all that I would get bored of a brew method within a week or two.
Okay.
So 1 week I'd be super into just would drink Chemex every day, and then Clever and AeroPress, and kind of got to the point where I was like, we're gonna have to do more than one brew method just to keep employees and customers engaged.
Yeah.
So we've kind of narrowed it down to Clever and AeroPress for daily service, and then have everything else available on request. I've actually got the Costa going here. This will probably be really good for you. Yeah. So yes, we use a fairly coarse grind, depending on the age of the coffee. Bloom about 30 seconds. And degas, and then we do a 3-minute steep time.
Okay. And then it just has a little lever, right? That you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is kind of part of part of what makes these so practical for us too. Is at least right now these days we're a little understaffed. The bar's built for 3 people. We're generally working 2.
Okay.
So that just gets to sit and chill for another 2 minutes. So if as long as I hold on to this, I can multitask. I try. Sometimes we forget and end up having to do the whole thing all over again.
Got it. And so the other ones that are a little bit more doing the pour overs and stuff like that. How easy has it been for you to kind of get them in a production environment?
As long as we have 3 people working,
Yeah.
it's great.
Okay.
So the bar is set up that you have 2 on the espresso machine, 1 on espresso, 1 on milk, and you have a third who does nothing but brew coffee and bar back when there's no coffee to brew. So when we're rolling the way that we should be with 3 at a time, it works perfectly.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, you can brew. I've brewed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cups of coffee like at the same time. Like had both AeroPresses prepped and going while we were doing clevers and a Chemex, like a 3-cup Chemex.
Wow.
So as long as you've got one person who is here and focused and knows what they're doing, has all the brew recipes memorized, and can keep track of what's what, it works perfectly.
Okay. And do you find, like, with the swapping out different coffees, are you changing those recipes pretty often, or are you still kind of sticking to general rules of thumb of steep time?
We try to keep it pretty consistent. So the only time that we've really been tweaking recipes is when, and this is a new thing, we've been playing around with this, is when the processing is very different. So if it's a natural or a pulp natural, we've kind of been playing around with slightly different steep times.
Okay.
And it's still a work in progress, and I haven't actually figured out if it matters or not, but just the increase in soluble material, I've just been curious about whether or not that affects, how that affects the extraction percentage.
Okay.
We just got a mojo, and we've been playing around and trying to figure out some stuff.
Okay.
But for the most part, I'm a big believer in brewing coffee the exact same way.
Okay.
That way you can see, I feel like you can see more of the inherent qualities of the coffee from cup to cup if you're brewing consistently every time. So we've got a mojo that we calibrate with, but primarily it's by taste, and we do our best to kind of align within kind of the gold cup standards and what tastes great. So as chance would have it, we're doing 25-gram dose and about 415 grams of water, and we average about a 1.3, 1.35 TDS and about a 19% extraction.
Okay.
Today we're doing so we've got fruit bat from Intelli in the left grinder, and we've got the El Salvador Los Soleros from Stumptown on the right.
Okay.
So we've been doing pretty light roasted coffees for espresso. They're production roasts, doing fairly low doses, fairly high yields that are really accent the sweetness and acidity. Tend to be pretty mellow as far as the body goes, but they're super tasty. Got a couple of scales down there too, so we can very quickly and efficiently weigh what's going on in the basket and what the peppers' weights are. What was that one, Michael? 1835. Little cap.
How do you feel about your visit to Milstead & Company?
Well, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of what it takes to open up a cafe. What a lot of people's backgrounds are.
Yeah.
And there's different styles of opening up a cafe and why people open them up. With Andrew is a lot more about how he makes his coffee. He's really particular about making his coffee, the whole process. But what I really liked about him was the way he set up his whole cafe was, it was a customer experience. He wanted to actually talk to them, teach them what he was actually doing behind the bar. So that's why everything was so much lower, and that was one of the first things I was so surprised about. I was like, hey Kat, why is everything so low?
Yeah.
And he definitely answered that for me, and I really liked the fact that it was because it was I want to be involved with my customers.
Yeah. And also that he chose his staff, like, first and foremost, like the people that are starting to work there, service is like their main specialty. You know?
Definitely. And that's a nice thing. I guess a lot of people don't do that very much anymore. It's just, can you do the whole thing? But it's like, it's the whole experience, which is the nice thing about Milstead & Company.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, this is our first foray out.
First of many.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Allison.
Thanks, Scott.